This is the story of my granddad Alf. He was born in 1902 in West Ham in East London, and he joined the Fire Brigade in 1922 when he was 20 years old. Like many other young boys who were born in West Ham at the turn of the century, he had lived through the First World War as a teenager, but thankfully had been too young to join up. In 1917, he was involved in the Silverstown explosion, which hit Silverstown when Brunnermund factory, which was manufacturing TNT, blew up, and many people were killed and injured. And my grandfather, as a young boy, went out to help the emergency services, the police, the fire, and that he saw around who were trying to rescue people from the rubble and organise safe places for people who had lost their homes to go to. My grandfather was running around helping during all of this time, and even though it was a very traumatic experience, it made him want to join the Fire Brigade when he was old enough. When he was a young man and a new fire service recruit, he began courting a lady called Nellie Simons, who was actually the niece of his sister and brother-in-law, and he married Nellie and they had a son. But his first wife Nellie died, and he was left to bring up his young 11-year-old son. He then met my grandmother, Ethel, who's the bride in this picture, and he met her through his sister, and she was unmarried, and she thought he was very handsome, and they had a 7-month courtship and got married, and my grandmother became stepmom to my granddad's son, Ron. They had a big East End wedding. That is my great-grandparents, Alf and Emily. That's my granddad's mum and dad there, so that's his mum and dad, and his sister, that's his son, and we have some wonderful old photographs to look back on. My grandfather was in the fire service for 22 years. And just before the Second World War, he was made station officer at Silverstown, and his sub-officer was a gentleman called Jimmy Advani, who was one of the first Asian Indian recruits to the Fire Brigade. My grandfather's boss during the war was Cyril Duman, OBE, who my grandfather thought very, very highly of and spoke very, very highly of. And if you want to know more about my grandfather's story, then watch the second part of this video, which is coming up, where I talk about his career during the Blitz and his life afterwards.